So y'all mentioned before when buying a home, down payment assistance. Could you tell me more about exactly what that is? Because some people's probably listening and like down payment assistance, like there's such a thing. I can get some help with getting a down payment when I'm buying a house. And I know it's something you got to qualify for, but what exactly is it, and how would you qualify?
Like there's many different programs. I'll start and then I let human jump in. The most the most popular one that people hear a lot is the TSHAC Down Payment Assistance Program, and that they're pretty much a nonprofit that helps people refundable grants or second liens for down payment assistance. They also get lower cost on their fees, and they get an MCC certificate so they can get a tax credit in the year. But you have to have a 640 credit score to qualify for them. So there are bank programs that you can also get down payment assistance from, where you can have, I believe, as low as a 580 credit score and still qualify to get that second lien or refundable grant. So, for example, if you had to bring 3.5% down, and you have the money in your account and everything, but you would rather just use that money to furnish your house, you can go ahead and get the first lien with the down payment assistance. And what that's going to do is give you a second lien that is going to be, I guess, forgiven within about 3 years, as long as you make on time payments. So you have to be able to commit to making on time payments for 3 years. And then once you call them, it falls off. You no longer have to worry about that lien. The interest rate on the down payment assistance, loans are a little bit higher, about a point higher, I believe, or a percentage higher. But at the end of the day, you're saving that money up front, and it is forgiven after 3 years. Sometimes it's sooner than that, depending on the program.
Yeah, and still with these down payment assistance programs, there's going to be some moving pieces that you got to pay attention to, like income limits on some things, and just like she said, credit score. There might be some additional overlays as well. So these programs are out here. You have the TSHAC as well, like she was mentioning. TSHAC, you can still have an FHA loan. So you can have a home, you can have a conventional loan, and you could use the TSHAC program to purchase another home. One of the best examples that we ran across just recently was that someone's kid was going to college, and they were looking for paying room and board. And instead of paying room and board, they went in and got a TSHAC loan. So they co-signed on a loan with their child that had no income. They used their income, their credit score, used this particular program, had lower fees across the board, because that's what the TSHAC is designed for. They were able to purchase a home for their kid instead of paying room and board.
Yeah, building that equity. So it's just those type of things that people don't realize. They're like, oh, I just want to go get this apartment for my kid, but you can just co-sign for a condo for them, build equity, and not bring, the down payment assistance is still there for you.
Yeah. So there's programs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sup, Elijah here. I appreciate you clicking on this video and watching it. I gotta ask you to hit that thumbs up button and also hit that hype button. You can see how to hype the video on the screen right now. It goes a long way towards helping me make more videos like this and better serve you, the audience member. Every hype and like makes a difference and is very much appreciated. Now, let's go ahead and get into the video. I've heard some pretty nasty stories about condos and HOAs.
Yeah, really.
Well, which one you want? A condo where you got building equity and you renting out the rooms, or a house, or you want to pay that room and board, that $15,000, $30,000 a semester, whatever it is, depending on where you at. So, but dealing with everybody, we'll gauge the situation. We'll see exactly what is going to be the best program. So that's come to us. Definitely come to us.
And when y'all talked about like how, now it depends on the program, but like we'll use 3 years for the example based on what you said. If you're making on-time payments, that second lien will fall off after 3 years. Is that something that, I guess it could vary, but does it happen automatically, or do you have to call them like, hey, so it's 3 years and the month has passed by, I've been good, so it's time for the second lien to come off? Oh yeah, yes, it's off. So do you have to initiate it, or does it automatically fall off?
You call them. But it is able to be, but the filing of the lien release is triggered by your call. So until you call, that lien is still filed on your property, but you call them and you say, you know, after it's been 3 years, file the release of lien. So that is a call that's triggered by you, but it is forgiven, and you can make that call after 3 years or whatever time allotment is had for that. Like it could be a year to 3 years, depending on the program.
And then, like she said, if you forget, it will just sit there silent. So there's no monthly bill. It's just sitting there. So it might give you issues when you come to, you know, selling a house years down, 30 years, and they see a lien, and now they got to go figure out what was going on. So just remember too, if you ever go through the program, find out what it is and follow those procedures.
And so if you're buying a house today and then you get in one of those programs, take your phone out, your Google Calendar, and then 3 years from today, set a reminder.
Call. Yeah, because it's easy to forget about because there's 0% interest, and there's no payment. So it's just sitting there. So yeah, get the calendar out so you don't forget to get that release of lien filed.
And that's just one down payment. You have the 5%. Now that's not forgivable, but at the same time, somebody might be in a situation where they want to cover the down payment and the closing costs, and they have plans to do whatever it is they want to do. But there's 5% that you can actually get, usually the max when it comes to down payment assistance to help cover closing costs. And I don't even want to get into the conversation about seller concessions.
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot more.
There's a lot more. So there's different ways that we can work the loan. Let me give y'all a little game. So like seller concessions, conventional loans, you can go back and ask for like 3% back from the seller to pay towards your closing. That helps you either rate buy downs. On FHA loans, the government loans, you can ask for about 6%, 6% back, and that's still helping you with rate buy downs, or it could go towards closing. So we're actually running a file right now where the numbers are about 250,000. I want to say that they're bringing about like $2,000 or $3,000 for closing because of the seller concessions. What was it? It was actually seller concessions. So this wasn't even a down payment. So seller concessions by itself.
And we work with the realtors and the real estate agents to make sure they know what the plan is.
Yeah.
So because our goal is to assist you all the way from beginning to end and making sure that the communication is great. That's the one thing we hear from everyone, that communication is poor and they just didn't know what was going on. So we take communication very seriously, and
Yeah. Then you got somebody from title. We were talking to a realtor recently that they wanted to know the taxes on the property. You got to remember, when you're looking at properties, taxes, insurance, these are very important numbers. She was able to go in and break that down. So the communication from an MLO and that experience is definitely something that you always need in this.
Right.